Hey everyone, welcome to Ryan and Russell Read and Review, a new series here on my channel, Ink and Paper Blog. Ryan and I are going to start reviewing one new release every month where we just read it and review it. We don't talk to each other, we don't plan, we just talk about the book and see how we feel. Welcome, Ryan.
Thanks for having me, Russell. I'm really excited to talk about our first Russell and Ryan Read and Review book.
So, full disclosure, my husband is so excited about this title and this new intro. And for me, it's a little bit of a mouthful, Ryan and Russell Read and Review. But looks really great what he's going to put together. So I'm super excited about it.
So we can just call this R4, right?
R4.
For shorthand.
That's
yeah.
What, R4. I think that's the way to go. So, and we chose a big book to start with.
Whew. I've not heard of a book with more buzz in a long time.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about Sally Rooney's new novel, Beautiful World, Where Are You? Which just came out, excuse me, just came out from FSG here in the United States this week.
Yeah. Tuesday, September 7th. I think it came out around the world the same day.
I think it did. I think
you know, normally there's like a few months difference between the UK, US, Australia, but I saw this book everywhere. They did a huge drop. This is, I mean, we knew this was coming. This wasn't going to be a Kanye album drop where like suddenly it's in your phone and you can listen to it. No, we knew it was coming, but everybody's talking about this one.
So, Ryan, what is your relationship with Sally Rooney Ben? I believe you and I have both now read all three of her books.
Yeah, I'm normally not like an author completist, but I've now read all three of her books. I read them, I think, mostly because you said you love them so much.
Yeah.
So I had to check them out, especially Normal People.
Yes.
And I liked them. I liked all the books. I wouldn't say I was blown away, but she's a great writer, and I really enjoyed her books.
Yeah, I remember I read them in order, and I really liked Conversations with Friends, and was enough for me to be interested to read Normal People. I loved Normal People, and we'll talk about Beautiful World, Where Are You as we go along, but I was like sitting with bated breath for this book to come out and read it. So this is really, you know, Sally Rooney definitely has a style. She definitely, you know, when you're reading a Sally Rooney book. And this is the story of two friends, Alice and Eileen, who met it's Eileen, right?
Yes.
Her name, yes, it's Eileen. Her name, for some reason, always skips in my head a little bit. They met in college. They've been friends for many, many years. And Alice has just gotten out of hospital after a stay in for some mental health issues and moved outside of Dublin to the country, which Eileen just does not understand. And she settled down in this house that she is renting, where she meets a man named Felix, and their relationship goes. And Eileen, it works for a magazine in Dublin, literary magazine. She does not get paid very much. Life seems to be like paycheck to paycheck for her. And she winds up running into, again, her friend Simon, who she's known her whole life, and their relationship takes off, and so on and so forth. For me, you know, Sally Rooney is called the voice of a generation. They say she writes for like the millennial generation. I think her writing has a very distinct style.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about her writing for millennials, I think that is a lot of the themes, and like it's a lot of, you know, talking about relationships, you know, like it's not a super plot driven book. But I think people ignore how readable her books really are. Absolutely. They are so easy to read. They suck you in. It's almost as if they're a genre book, but they don't have the thematic plot elements of like a mystery or thriller or romance novel.
Yeah.
I think she's great.
Yeah. I think her books are very much, and this book is very much along the same vein. The characters are always just trying to figure out life, trying to figure out where they are in life, and trying to figure out how the world going around them affects them. You know, Alice, very Sally Rooney-ish, by the way, is a famous writer who has published 2 books. And the fame of all of that, the criticism and the praise and the notoriety has really gotten to Alice, and she does not know how to deal with it. She hasn't written anything in quite some time, but she's so well known that she's still requested to go places and read things and stuff like that. But the fame and sort of societal pressure has really gotten to her. And as Eileen just doesn't get it. And I think that that is a very interesting way of looking at this world we're living in. A lot of people live so much in this now with social media that they don't understand when someone's uncomfortable or made to feel uncomfortable sometimes. And that sort of starts this divide for Alice and Eileen, as Alice is trying to figure out what she wants to do. And Eileen's like, what's going on with you? Why are you disconnected?
Yeah. Eileen and Alice are best friends from college, and I think they're approaching 30 in the book. And they're definitely struggling with kind of that post-college, early adulthood, like, you know, they're not married. You know, Eileen isn't totally happy with her job. They're dealing with that kind of quarter life crisis type issue. And then they're also trying to figure out what their relationship was. Like, it, you know, they're best friends in college, and then they have very different lives now. Alice is a famous writer. She's rich. She has a lot of money. She has a lot of fame, you know, but she's not perfect. She's had mental health issues. She's had a lot going on. And Eileen doesn't seem very sympathetic to her. And I think that's partly jealousy. But I like the way that, like, Sally Rooney talks about their relationship. You don't get a lot of like those types of novels, those types of relationships that don't reach melodrama. Like, it felt very real to me. And I think that's why I liked it as much as I did. Her characters and her situations always feel very real.
Interesting. Well, we're going to talk about one thing that I will question if it felt real.
Okay.
But I do want to talk about Felix and Simon as well. So sort of the male energy of the book. Alice meets Felix, and Felix is a blue-collar guy, lived in the same small town, works in a factory. Interestingly enough, Sally Rooney's husband is, I believe, a math teacher. So very disconnected from the world of literature, just the way that Felix is from Alice's world. And Felix doesn't ever buy into any of this. Like, he's very real with her all of the time and doesn't sort of allow her to get in her own head. Like, he sort of like puts a stop to that, because she has a way of manipulating a situation that is artful.
That's true. Like, he's the only one who could really put her in her place or stand up to her. But I do feel like Felix also was a bit too blunt at times.
Agree.
And it felt very aggressive. And then he was also kind of a troublemaker. Like, he instigated some, you know, arguments, some fights, not just with Alice, but with the others later.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I don't know if you felt this way, but Eileen is similar in that she attempts to manipulate her relationship with Simon. And so the big issue with Simon at the beginning of the book is that he's Catholic and he believes in God and he goes to church. And that is a hubbub for these two women. They do not know how to deal with faith, which I thought was a fascinating theme throughout the book. Simon's faith, Simon's sort of centeredness, and how Eileen also tries to manipulate him, but she doesn't know what she wants. She's just a messy manipulator.
Yeah.
Because she's lost. I feel like both Alice and her were very lost for very different reasons.
Yeah, very lost. The men were a little more, I would say, solid. Simon works for a politician. I forget exactly what he did, but it's like PR for a politician in Ireland. And he has a very strong faith. He has a good job. He seemed perfect in a lot of ways. I really liked Simon. He seemed like a really good person. He was unflappable. Like all of the machinations of Eileen like didn't really faze him, and he was just like there and present, and so I really liked him.
Well, and what was fascinating about Simon is that he wanted Eileen to be happy. So if she said something, he would go along with it because he wanted to give her what she wanted. But she didn't want what she was saying she wanted sometimes, and got so frustrated with him. And it was just like, well, stop manipulating and be honest.
Yeah.
And this may turn out to be very different for you.
Yeah, I mean, manipulative seems a little harsh. I don't know if it was really that, or if it was like playing hard to get a little bit.
Oh,
like a little bit of a game playing. I don't know. Like it was kind of obnoxious. Like I kind of wanted to like jump on the page and like tell Eileen what's up. Like you're missing out on this catch, man.
Well, speaking of game play, Mr. Ryan, Sally Rooney writes a rather steamy couple of love scenes in this book. And one of them is this role play between Eileen and Simon that half the time I was cracking up. Half the time I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then half the time I was like, what is this woman doing?
It was strange, but I thought it was like engrossing to me. Like I was Absolutely. Like there, I could like picture, I don't know. I felt the same way about like normal people, where there were a few things where I'm like, well, that's a little too far. I don't know if that would happen.
Yeah.
But like the emotion I felt was honest, and like, yes. I don't know. I thought the scenes, especially with like the where they were like online talking, Eileen and Simon were like talking, I was like, whoa, where's this go?
Yeah.
It was pretty.
I mean, Sally Rooney writes sex pretty well. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
And tension in that arena very, very well. Mm-hmm. But speaking of writing, part of this book is told in these emails from Alice to Eileen and back and forth. And what I love about Sally Rooney always is sort of the knowledge, the things that she dives into with her characters always have a sophistication. And these women are really looking at the world and like, did you know that this in the Bronze Age, this happened and the whole world fell apart? Are we there again? Like, this is a big, heavy topic.
Yeah.
And they're just discussing it in email. And then they sort of like dissect each other's lives and then bye-bye, I love you. It's such an interesting decision for her.
Yeah, and I don't know if it really worked that well for me. Essentially, every other chapter is an email from either Alice or Eileen going back and forth, where the emails like describe part of their life, a lot of which happened in the previous chapter. And then there were these big philosophical discussions that I kind of lost interest in often. So I think it's interesting the way she had the two characters only interacting over email for like most of the book. And that kind of shows the detachment and the distance between them in a weird way, or in a very interesting way. But I thought it was a little too much, a little too detached to keep me interested during those chapters.
Interesting. It was a little bit on the nose in regards to this idea of separate lives, separate way. You know, it was just like put them in the email sphere where, of course, they're not in the same space. So it's always reactionary to each other versus actually going through an experience together. But I enjoyed some of the back and forth of those conversations. They worked for me because I just thought they were interesting. I've always wanted to be like, I always wanted to be smart enough to have like this written correspondence that people would like read and go, oh, you think about, I think it's just fascinating. And, you know, people in history wrote letters to each other and it was always like that. And nowadays it's like we get a 5-character tweet with an emoji, you know, it's just so different.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wondered, like, does anybody still write these long emails to each other, especially when you're 29? Like, I haven't written an email to a person outside of work in years. Like, there's
it
other
seems
ways
like
to
something writers may do.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. But like, they didn't text each other. Like, you would think that would make more sense. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about the one thing that for me, I didn't quite understand was both Felix and Alice admit through the book of being bisexual. And it comes up randomly throughout the novel. For what reason, I have absolutely no idea. Like, I didn't know if she wanted to make them more edgy. I didn't know if she thought it was cool. I don't know. Like, it didn't really add anything. It just seemed weird to me.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about this. And you know, there's a lot of like conversation about straight authors writing queer characters. And generally I come down on the fact that if a straight author wants to write a queer character and does it in a respectful way, I'm all for it. They shouldn't make a gay person into a caricature or whatever. But like, if they want to take their limited number of words, their platform, and add a gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans character, I'm all for it. With this, I kind of was like, well, what if they were really bisexual in real life? Like, what if they were real people? Like, it's a man and a woman, cisgender, dating each other. Would this happen that way? And I think it would. I think if they were actually bisexual, they would, like, you know, mention it. I don't think it would be, you know, a huge part of their relationship. As like a man and woman dating, they wouldn't face prejudice or a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What did you think?
Well, I totally agree with everything you said about, you know, the representation. I felt like if she wanted to, I didn't expect Felix to go off and have a relationship with a man, but I would have liked a little more development about how this fact about him was important enough for us to know in regards to who he was. And that was where I felt like, you know, other than some random comments about, you know, how cute Simon was, you know, or something like that, I was just like, I feel like, and maybe it's because, you know, I'm a gay man myself, I feel like my sexuality informs me in how I sort of view the world. And I wanted it to inform the characters a little bit more. I get what you're saying. I do think that it was handled well, and it wasn't like they were going to just be like taking out pictures and swapping, you know, but I just felt like it didn't inform them as people at all. There was this like sort of discussion about maybe Alice had a relationship with a woman And I was like, okay, just take it that next further. Give me a little bit more. And I would have sort of bought into it a little bit. And maybe it just fell to the editing floor. You know, maybe it just didn't work or she couldn't figure out how to do it. But it was just one of those things. Every time it came up, I was like, what? Why? And that was really my only big problematic issue where I was just like, I just don't always get this piece. But overall, I cared about Alice. She frustrated the heck out of me. But I wanted her to be happy. I liked Felix. Eileen drove me insane. Just to be honest. Simon was a catch. I was like, write me in this book and I will take Simon away.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was an interesting book.
I've been telling people, if you like Sally Rooney's writing, if you like her books, this is very Sally Rooney. You'll probably like this. If you don't like her books, I don't think you'll find anything different or new here that would convince you otherwise.
Yes, agreed.
She still does not use quotation marks.
Which some people cannot handle.
Some people don't like it. I think it's very readable. I think she does a great job.
Yeah. I will say, and Sally Rooney, if you're watching this video, I would love to see in her fourth novel, her just flip the script. Do something completely different so that we're all like, oh, because she definitely has a niche now. And all three of these books are very good. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know, even as a Sally Rooney stan, that I want to read 10 and 11 and 12 books like this.
That's true. And it'll be interesting to see how she progresses as a writer as she gets older. I feel like these books have been very informed by her own life. The characters are about her age through all of them, when she's writing them. So what does it look like to have a married woman, maybe with kids? Like, I can see her going in that direction.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. But I do think she has a voice worth listening to. So
I think she's a great writer. Yeah.
Yes.
She really knows how to put words together. It's so fluid. It's not difficult to read. Like, and not that it's simplistic. Like, there's some really heavy themes going on, but it just flows into your brain so well.
And she has a way of her language and her dialogue sounds very now. Like, it sounds very present. And I think that is what always has impressed me about all three of her books, is just like, they seem like they just belong here. And I appreciate that. Like, I just feel they're here in the realness of my world. And I really love that about them. So
yeah, I agree.
So I will say, of all of the books, this would be my least favorite Sally Rooney. Normal People, definitely number one. Conversations with Friends, number two, and then this one. But I really liked it. And I think, exactly as you said, if you're a Sally Rooney person, if you've never given her a chance, a great place to start. If you're not a Sally Rooney fan, this is not going to be the book to change your mind. So any final thoughts, Ryan, about Sally Rooney's Beautiful World? Where are you?
No, I mean, I think that, like, we've talked about it. It's it's a good book. It's really solid. I liked it. I think, if you like Sally Rooney, read it.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we do stars?
We can, or I don't know.
I can't think of R's. Should we give them R's?
R's? That might get confusing. We could do like a Siskel and Ebert thumbs up or thumbs down if we don't want to rate it.
Let's do that. I give Sally Rooney's Beautiful World, Where Are You? A thumbs up.
I give it a thumbs up too.
So in the future, Ryan, we're not going to announce what books we picked because we're just going to sort of go as the world takes us. And we're going to try to do this where we just talk about them going forward. So this means we might actually have a book we don't like. We never know.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. Let's have a video where we just try to destroy something.
No, I hate reading books that I don't like. I just normally stop and just move on. There's no reason to dwell on something we don't like, but we'll see. Yeah,
we never know. So, well, Ryan, thank you for going on this adventure with me. I'm really excited about this series.
Me too. Thank you for having me. I can't wait to talk about our next book.
Okay, well, happy reading, everyone. We'll see you in a month. Bye.